Okay. Hello everybody, this is Zealous from the Minecraft Heroes channel. I'm going to talk to you today about the Nintendo 64 game known as WWF No Mercy. A couple of things I want to touch base on today. Let's see here. I think it was yesterday, White Boy called me, and he was naming off games off of a couple of lists that he had found online. About wrestling games. Some of the people, I guess, posted up a list of what they thought were the greatest wrestling games of all time. And one of them was a 13 best wrestling games ever, or some shit like that. And he was reading this list off to me, and WWF's No Mercy was in there, WrestleMania 2000 was in there, WCW versus NWA Revenge was in there. But I kind of disagree with something, because it was called the 13 best wrestling games of all time. Number 13 was WWF No Mercy, which is this one right here. And WCW versus NWA Revenge and WrestleMania 2000 were also in this list, and they were ahead of this game. How that can happen, I don't know. For those of you who do not know about those games, I will explain why I think this game is better than both of them. So you'll be hearing a lot of comparison from this game to those games. And we'll even talk about the newer games and how this game was an inspiration to the newer wrestling games later on. This video will hit probably at least 20, if not more minutes, but thankfully our YouTube channel is now eligible for video uploads longer than 15 minutes in length. Just happened yesterday, so we're happy about that. So, yeah. We're trying to work on a couple of other things, and if it works correctly in the way that we want it to, we'll be able to, you'll actually see videos much longer than what they have been. I know the Dungeon Fighter online videos are only like 5 minutes in length and blah blah blah, but I'm getting off topic here. So anyway, back to this. So, as I said, 13 greatest wrestling games of all time, and this game was number 13. And that kind of irritates me a little bit for a couple of reasons. Let's talk about the other two for a minute here. WCW NWA Revenge and WrestleMania 2000. We'll talk about WCW's first, because it's really the one I'm going to be mainly talking about and comparing. WCW NWA Revenge. The game was good. I'll give it that much. The game was a really good game for its time. It did a lot of things that wrestling games before I had yet to do. You were able to grab weapons from the crowd, which was something that until that point you really couldn't do. But a couple of things were wrong with the game also. One of the main things was the creative system in the game. The create a superstar, if you want to call it that. There was something like a create a superstar in this game. However, it wasn't create a superstar, it was more edit a superstar. The only way that you could really create a superstar in WCW NWO's Revenge was to go to the superstar menu and pick a random superstar. We'll just say Kevin Nash, just to throw a name out there. The only way to actually make a superstar would be to click on Kevin Nash, click on his name, change his name, and then you can go down to pants, shirt, and then the color of clothes. That was it. That was all you could do in the game as far as editing, making a superstar goes. A name, pants, shirt, and color of clothes. That was it. You couldn't change the height, the weight, the hair, the facial hair, the theme music, the moves, nothing. You couldn't do any of that. It was unheard of at that point. Okay. How that can be better compared to No Mercy, it can't. It honestly cannot. Because as far as WWF's No Mercy goes, Their editing system was so far advanced that it blew every other wrestling game before it out the water. Um, you could create a nickname, you could create a name, you could change the height, you could change the weight, you could have theme music, you can have the video entrance, uh, you can you could even have you could even choose somebody to be an ally, and you could even choose people to be enemies. And during a match, you could have one of the people that you chose to be an enemy come out and interfere in your match, and then your ally that you chose would come out and interfere in your match to help you. No other game had done anything like that before. Um, the move list. Jesus Christ, is there a shit ton of moves in this game? And this game was the first wrestling game to ever um, make it so that you could have more than a specific number of finishers. So like WCW NW Revenge, you could really only do two finishers: the front finisher and the back finisher, unless you were playing somebody like Bret Hart, and then you could obviously do a leg submission, the sharpshooter. But with this game, you could choose a back finisher, a front finisher, a leg submission finisher, a head submission finisher, and then you could even turn the person so that they were laying face down, have another leg submission, a head submission, and then you could even go on the top rope and you could choose two finishers for the top rope. One for when the opponent was standing and one for when the opponent was laying. So you had a whole bunch of different finishers that you could mix and match. And then the move list was just insane. And then the clothing and everything else that you could do to your character. You could not ever make a character and then find somebody who has the same exact identical character to a T. It is impossible because there are so many different combinations that you could do that it would be impossible for you to find somebody who had made a character exactly identical to yours. Another thing. Let's go back to WCW NW Revenge for a minute. Like I said, that's going to be the main game I'm going to be comparing to. This one will actually deal with WCW NW Revenge and WrestleMania 2000. Something that those games didn't do, or I should say did do, because there was a did and a didn't, that this game did and didn't, was WrestleMania 2000, WCW NW Revenge. You couldn't have more than one weapon at a time. If you grabbed one weapon in either of the games, that was it. That was the weapon. Until you dropped it. Then you could go and pick up another weapon from the crowd. The only thing with that was, with WCW NW, WCW NW Revenge and WrestleMania 2000, the only way that you could grab another weapon was to drop the weapon that you currently had, and then the weapon would vanish off the screen. When you let it go, it would like disappear through the floor, through the ring, or wherever you were standing when you let go of the weapon. It happened in both games. WWF's No Mercy, on the other hand, you could go outside, grab a weapon, drop it, grab another weapon, drop it, grab another weapon, drop it. And it wouldn't go anywhere. It would just be where you dropped it, and you could just pick it back up again and use it. Drop it, pick it back up again and use it. You couldn't do that in WCW NW Revenge or WCW NW Revenge or WWF's WrestleMania 2000, because as soon as you drop the weapon, it would disappear. You'd have to go grab another weapon. So, I don't understand how in the hell you could say WCW NWO's Revenge is better than WWF No Mercy, because it's already fucked up 3 times now compared to WWF's No Mercy. Same thing with WrestleMania 2000. It's already had a mess up, and the editing system in WWF's WrestleMania 2000 is nowhere near as amazing as the editing system in WWF's No Mercy. Let's talk about another thing here. As far as grappling goes, WCW NW Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, you could not do running grapples. It was unheard of, apparently. There was no such thing. It was non-existent. WWF No Mercy, you can. You can choose, I think it's 2 front running grapples and 2 back running grapples. 1 front running grapple, just pressing the A button, which is the grapple button, and then another one for press and holding. the A button. And then the same with the back running grapples. Press A button, hold the A button. The other two games never had that. You couldn't do it. You could do running attacks like a running clothesline or a running drop kick, but you couldn't do the other stuff. Oh, look at that. White Boy is currently calling me. White Boy, hold on 1 second. I will get back to you in 1 moment. Let me get this call here. Oi. Hello, sir. Hi. I'm currently in the midst of recording a video for the Minecraft Heroes channel. Do you remember you told me last night about the, or yesterday I should say, about the 13 greatest wrestling games, blah blah blah. And we were talking about the whole Duke Nukem thing, and I said I think we should do a video series on why we think games get a shit rep when they should get a better rep than what they get. Yep, I'm doing one on No Mercy. Nice. I've been having a lot of good matches in that lately. Actually, I've had a couple of like non-fighting matches. It's been nice. Like if I die, I don't have somebody saying in the chat, "Dude, you fucking suck. You're a noob." Yeah, yeah. I haven't had any of that. It feels pretty good. I hit level 10 last night. Yeah, I'm level 10. Which one? Ah, I've been using the knight guy, the silver knight guy. I can't remember his name. It's Morta something. That dude's pretty fucking sick. Yeah, I used him. Yeah, I'll call you when I'm done. Alright, bye. Sorry about that. White Boy is playing League of Legends and he's doing very well. Anyway, what was I talking about? Was it about the running grapples? I think it was about the running grapples. Well, yeah. You couldn't do them in WCW, NW Revenge, or WrestleMania 2000. You could do them in WWF's No Mercy. I'm going to pause this here, and and I'll get back in a minute when I realize where exactly I left off before he called. So, BRB. Sorry, we touched base on that. You can do running grapples and stuff. So another thing here, I want to talk about with the differences between these games. With WCW NW Revenge again, you couldn't leave the arena. You couldn't not like what you see these two doing now. Obviously, you could do that, and you could run up the ramp here. But you couldn't get past that. There we go. In the other games, you couldn't go past the entrance ramp here. But in WWF's No Mercy, you can. You can go past this, and it's actually like a little backstage hallway. and there's 4 separate rooms that you can go in. There's the parking lot, the broiler room, the locker room, and then I think it's like a little pool table area. I don't know exactly what you want to call it, like a bar area type deal. And you could actually go back there and fight back there. You couldn't do that in the other games. The other games there was nothing like that. You couldn't go backstage. You couldn't do anything like that. It was just this was where you could do everything was right here. You couldn't go out and explore and fight backstage or anything like that. So we've covered the main points. Um, the editing system, the moves, move lists, the run and grapple stuff, um, the weapon thing, backstage area stuff. Just trying to think if there's anything else that I should point out. The only good thing that they put into WrestleMania 2000 that they did not put into this game was you could create your own belt. That I thought was really cool, that you could create your own belt. But unfortunately, that is not in this game. It's only WrestleMania 2000. But that one little downfall, in my personal opinion, does not make WrestleMania 2000 no chance in hell better than this one. Honestly, I don't even know why they're so different because I think WrestleMania 2000 actually came out first, and then it was No Mercy. So they took out the belt thing to do everything else. If you think about it, so I could deal with that because it wasn't really like a create your own belt thing anyway. The only thing it was you could pick a belt. If you wanted the hardcore belt, you could pick the hardcore belt, and you could have it have its own name. You could call it the NWO hardcore belt if you wanted to, or the NWO 2 Extreme belt. And that was their editing system when it came to belts. So it wasn't really like creating a belt; it was more just editing a belt. But still, I don't understand why. I don't really care to try to understand why someone would think that WCW, NWO Revenge, and WrestleMania 2000 are better than WWF No Mercy. This is where we talk about the now games in wrestling. Um, I'll go from GameCube and up. From the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, and blah blah blah. A lot of those games were inspired by this game. They interpreted things based off of this game as far as, let's say, the submission thing, or the finisher thing, I should say, as far as the finishers go. You can still, in wrestling games, pick a shit ton of finishing moves, like in the Day of Reckoning games for the GameCube. You could pick so many finishers, it was insane. The editing systems. You can still create superstars to your personal liking. Some games now are even more advanced than this one was. But this one paved the way for it. The backstage thing, you can do that in games now. You can even just pick that area to fight in. That was never around until this game. You couldn't do anything like it. It's unheard of. Backstage area fighting? No, I fight in the ring, man. What game are you playing? I'm playing No Mercy. I'm playing WrestleMania 2000. But, and then you take the weapon thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no wrestling game around nowadays that if you pick up a weapon and let it go, it's gonna disappear into the beyond. It's gonna just enter its own vortex and be gone. Um, I'm pretty sure. And some games actually now are, you can do so much in wrestling games now, it's insane. They even have some games where you can actually fight in the crowd now, and that was unheard of back in this game's days. That was unheard of. Wrestling games have came so far. If you take games like I'll go way, way, way back to games like WrestleMania for the NES. WrestleMania's NES, where you could only do like what was it, 5 or 6 moves. You could punch, kick, body slam, leg drop, and your finisher. That was about it. And then to games like Royal Rumble for the Super NES. That was a big break in for that back then. Royal Rumble for the Super NES was a phenomenon back then. That was an amazing game back then. I still play that game from time to this day. Okay, that game did it. And the weird thing about the old school wrestling games like the WrestleMania NES and the Royal Rumble for the Super NES and WrestleMania for the Super NES and for the Sega, you could only choose certain wrestlers. Royal Rumble, you could only choose, I think it was Macho Man Randy Savage, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, Bret Hart, and I think Razor Ramon, and like 1 or 2 others. You couldn't even pick the entire wrestling roster in the games. Oh, and Undertaker. It was really like only the main ones that the game focused on, like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Razor Ramon. Those were some big names back in that day. Those names, even to this day, The Undertaker is still one of the biggest names, along with Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart, still pretty big. Razor Ramon, not so much. Scott Hall, he's, well, I don't even know what to say about him, but back then, the game really only focused on, like, the big names, like WrestleMania for the NES. It only had, very few characters, and 2 of them were, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan wasn't even in Royal Rumble for the Super NES, and he wasn't in WrestleMania. I think it's because that was the time when Hulk Hogan wasn't even in the WWF. He was in WCW at the time, I think. I'm taking a guess, a shot in the dark here. But up until the 64, you never saw Hulk Hogan in any of the WWF games. You never saw it. Undertaker was another one. He wasn't in WrestleMania for the NES because I don't think he was around then. But he was in Royal Rumble for the Super NES. He was in the Super NES WrestleMania, and he was in the Sega one. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The characters that you can pick now, you can be pretty much every single superstar that's in wrestling now, and you can even unlock some of the great ones. Like one of the newest ones there. What is it? SmackDown versus Raw 2000. I think it was 2010 is the one I have, or 2011 or some shit. You can actually unlock, because they're not in-game playable characters, but you can unlock the Nexus. So the character selection has gotten much bigger, and WWF No Mercy was one of the games that had that huge ass character selection, because you could pick everybody that was in the roster at the time. WCW NW Revenge also had a huge one. It even had people that weren't even in WCW. You could beat them. There were people from different federations from different countries in that game. I don't understand why, but there were. Whatever, more power to you. More people that you could play. But I think I'm gonna end this here. But my basic point here is, if you're gonna make a list of the greatest wrestling games of all time, and you're gonna include WCW NW Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, and No Mercy, which you should, in that list, you should not put No Mercy ahead of them games, because in my personal opinion, No Mercy is actually better than some of the crap games we have now. You ask me if I'd rather play right now WWF's No Mercy or one of the SmackDown vs. Raws, and I'll go No Mercy every time. No Mercy is probably one of the best wrestling games ever made, because it did so many things that no other game up until that point had done. So keep that in mind. This is the syllabus. The Minecraft Heroes. Peace.